Alrighty, guys, my name is JabeTime. Oh, yeah. And today, I'm going to be recording my second podcast. I'm pretty excited to be talking about how much support I got from my last podcast. It was really nice to hear all the nice words everyone had to say. It really just made me feel what I had made was something to be proud of. You know, something that I've wanted to do for my whole life, and being able to record my voice for all these people and having them enjoy it as much as they do. It's really nice to hear all these people saying that my voice is either soothing or inspiring. Like, dude, that's like so awesome to hear, and it really motivates you to want to keep on doing stuff like this. It really makes me feel like I'm doing it right, I guess. You know, a lot of people said that they thought the topic was pretty interesting and they enjoyed hearing about it, and that's really cool. It's my dream to be able to record my voice and be able to have all this content out there for people to enjoy. And hearing that people enjoyed it, hearing that people thought it was inspiring, really just motivated me to want to keep on doing it. As for my gaming things that I do on YouTube, I probably will continue to be doing that. I love doing that too. I think as of now, there are going to be a lot more podcasts than gaming videos, since podcasts are kind of a lot easier to make, since I don't have to record any gameplay. I don't have to commentate over the game because I'm pretty bad at that. That stuff's hard. But today, I didn't really have that much of a subject to talk about. I really just wanted to thank everyone who had listened and who had enjoyed and shared my first ever podcast to a lot of people. Within, I believe, the first week, or I don't even know if it has been a week since I posted it, but within a couple days, I had already hit 100 listens. And it really motivated me, and I've been wanting to do the second podcast ever since I posted the first one. But I couldn't think of much to talk about, so instead, I'll talk while I'm thinking. Like, think while I'm talking. However you want to say it. So when I first posted my podcast onto YouTube, I had not known about, honestly, it was more of just an idea to put it on YouTube. I was just going to put it on YouTube for people to listen to. But I ended up thinking, well, SoundCloud would be a good idea, They could just swipe up and listen to it right away. And that was my first thought. And I think that's where I got most of my listens from. I think from there I got about 40. And after that, one of my my buddy friends, he told me about an app called Anchor. And there you can post a podcast, edit it up however you want, trim the audio, put in music, and then, it automatically uploads it to Spotify, Apple Music, all these podcasting places. And that also really helped a lot. It really got it so anyone could really listen at any time, no matter what you have. And I feel like that's what really helped me get my first podcast out there. A lot of people had talked about wanting to be on the podcast as guests. And I thought that was a super good idea, I do love recording stuff, whether it be by myself or with people. But being able to talk to someone else and having their opinions and ideas while I'm recording the podcast would be a really good idea. So pretty soon here, I feel like I'm going to be having a couple guests come on the show. I don't know if it would be in person, like we record in person, or if it would be online. I think most would prefer to be online since COVID and all that. I would just have to learn how to record my podcast online, and then I'll be able to have people on there. But I think it would be a really cool idea, and I'd love to have someone on here with me to be able to talk about whatever subject we choose. And honestly, the whole idea of starting this whole podcast thing is just super exciting to me. It's really exciting to feel like, you know, all this is for entertainment purposes. And I'm so glad my first podcast really made everyone feel, well, most people feel inspired and such. And that made me feel good. But today, I want to be talking about how the future may be looking like. Guest on the show would be super cool. How or when I'm going to be recording the podcasts. Um, have them be on set days. People have been talking to me about making merch. And it may be a little bit early to be thinking about it, but I at least want to have an idea of what I may or may not do with that. I may release some shirts sometime soon or sometime later. Either way, I think merch could be a possibility, whether it be shirts, mugs. I don't know if there's mugs actually. I don't know if I can do mugs, sweaters, all that good stuff. But if I were to make merch, then I would make sure it would look good, and I would definitely probably get some help from people. People have been asking me about that, and I think it would be a really cool idea. So there could be a possibility of merch, and I'd be happy to make it for all of you. So for my podcast, I had been planning to mostly be doing subjects and such. Sort of like what I did with the Jacob Giller video and the other video that I can't remember the name of. I had the subject set to where I would be talking about the power of music and such. And that went really well. I feel like I was able to talk about it in depth and for a longish period of time. So, thinking of a new subject has been a little difficult since there hasn't been much that I've watched that's super interesting. I know there are some podcast places, like, for example, H3 Podcasts. I know he looks at the news and talks about whatever's been going on that day. But I don't know if I could do that, since it would be kind of difficult to really look at the news every day and then come up with like opinions on that. That'd be a cool thing to do, but it wouldn't be like the main thing I would be doing on my podcast. After recording my first podcast, and getting all the support from all these people, it really just made me think about how this could be a really cool thing in the future. I could have a lot of people listening and they could be enjoying it. And that would be a dream come true, for sure. Um, I feel like it is a form of wishful thinking for me to be talking about having, a lot of listeners. But what I want to be able to do is record myself talking and enjoy it. I want to be able to like talking about it, and then I want to be able to put it out there for everyone to listen to and have them enjoy it. I think that I would love to be able to make podcasts every other day. It could be difficult to get them out there every other day, since I'm already having a issue with having a subject after like 4 days of waiting. But in the future, I think it'll get easier and easier, and I'll have better resources to be able to talk about. Doing a form of work, and having other people look at your work and enjoying it. It really is just, it's sort of like your work that you put in, the work that you put in is being noticed by people. And that itself, I feel like, is enough for me to feel motivated to keep on doing these podcasts. I guess I guess this podcast is much more of just thanking a lot of things and thanking a lot of people, and thinking about the future of JabeTime Podcasts. My first podcast, I feel like, was a big step forward. I guess making the whole channel was a big step forward from what I had been doing before, which is nothing. Um, after experiencing doing my first podcast, I eh, I really did feel like I was able to. I feel like a big thing about podcasts is being able to talk about a subject and having to get other ideas from other things you've either seen or experienced, and then putting that into a different point of view or having a different meaning is just like a big part of having a good podcast. Just keeping the viewer thinking about other other interests and experiences that could be part of what your subject is about. And even though my first podcast was 20 minutes long, or I think less, I feel like I was able to talk about how interesting, the power of music can be in films and video games. So I was proud of myself, and then having the support come in afterwards was just that one extra motivation to make me want to continue doing this for all my viewers, whatever it may be, whether it be um, t- talking in podcasts or trying out auditions, like voice acting auditions online, whatever it may be. I feel like the bottom line is I'm using my voice for a source of entertainment, and that is what I feel like I can do, and it's what I feel like I want to do. Taking the time to record myself talking and having put it out there really just makes me feel like this is what I enjoy. I I love doing this for everyone, and I really hope I can continue to be putting out this good content for my viewers to see, and I hope that I can continue to be an interesting person to listen to. If I were to get a guest on this show, then I feel like it would be a lot more interesting just from listening to one person. Having someone else's thoughts and ideas, like I had said earlier, really changes how everything can be seen. So I just hope that what I put out there can and will be interesting for people to listen to. I find it I find it crazy how there are artists out there who do not only podcasts or talk on podcasts on other people's podcasts. I find it crazy how they're like geniuses. A big example that I have is Childish Gambino, Donald Glover. He was a comedian. He was in movies. He was in shows. He makes really great music. He has talked on podcasts. And having that much talent is just crazy to me. He's a genius for being able to create all this. And even when he creates new things, it still feels new. It doesn't feel like recycled. Like, for example, his new album, I believe it was called 3.15.20. Um, that album itself was super interesting. It had some good songs, it had some kind of weird songs. A lot of people went into researching and like going into in depth on like the true meaning of that whole album, and they had like made discoveries, and they made explanation videos of like what this album really means. That album it was all over the place with a lot of its songs, but it seemed like he worked hard on it. He made a lot of if people are able to listen to it and then think that, like, going in depth into thinking about it and then discovering these new things, I feel like that just means that he put a lot of hard work into it. I don't know how people can do it. It's super awesome how he can do all these things. Another person that I think is also a genius, and he's a really cool guy. He's funny. His name's Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps. He started recording in his room. He started gaming videos with his friend John, and just from that, from his room, it turned into like a whole company. And going from the ground up, just seeing how much he's done with Game Grumps, it's really cool to see how much he's growing as not only as a person but as a company like by itself. He has a channel where he records himself opening like Pokemon packs, and he also has his other channel, the actual channel Game Grumps, where he plays video games. And that's another thing that I've always wanted to do, being able to record myself playing games with my friends. It's crazy because on our own, I feel like we all have our own form of podcasts. You know, we all talk. We're all able to talk with our friends for like long periods of times, just keep on adding to it over and over again. Because when you're with your friend, it's just the amount that you talk and how much you talk about could be super interesting for someone else to listen to. And just thinking about that really just made me think like, wow, that's super true. Like, I've talked to my friend for a really long time, even about like psychological stuff. You know, I remember I had a long talk with my friends, and we had talked about like serial killers, and how they did, how their story is, their backstory. Like Ted Bundy, for example, like he was like super charismatic, but he ended up doing all these terrible things to women. And just hearing that, hearing your friends come up with other ideas that you weren't even thinking of, it's just cool to think that, wow, someone could listen to this and be interested. I went off track a little bit, but back to Aaron Hansen. He made Game Grumps from his room, turned into a company, and he also made a show. It's called Good Game. He made it with his friend Daniel as well, and it was a good show. I think it was a really good show, and he's just a really talented guy. He's funny, and he's able to. He does his job right, and you know, having a job where you do all that stuff sounds really fun. You know, just being able to record videos with your best friend, and having fun, and at the same time that being like what you do for a living. Like, it might sound not that cool, but I think that's pretty cool. I'd love to do that. It would still be hard work. You still have to feel motivated and you want to keep on doing that. But that's a job that I think would be pretty interesting to have. Recording myself alone just really like was fun. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed putting it out there. And I'm glad people were able to enjoy it and like it. Because that's, I've said it so many times, that's just what I want. That's what I really, really want to do. Having work put out there and having people support it and love it. So, I guess this is a big start of something that I want to keep on doing for a long time. And I really hope everyone can watch it and listen to it and enjoy it. I want to thank everyone who has contacted me and who has talked to me about how they thought that it was a good podcast, how they thought that it was inspiring and such. That first podcast definitely wasn't perfect, so I want to build off of that and fix my mistakes and be able to make my next few podcasts as perfect as they can be for everyone to enjoy. Again, thank you all, everyone, so much to even just be listening. I appreciate the love and support, and just thank you everyone for supporting. I guess it's kind of like, here we go, like, let's see what's gonna be happening. Let's see what the future brings. I want to thank you all for listening today. New podcast is going to be coming out soon, maybe even merch. Thank you all for listening. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate every single one of you. And hope you guys all have a good rest of your day, night, morning, afternoon, evening. Night and evening are the same thing, so are other things. I'm confusing myself, so everyone just have a good rest of their lives. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time on my next podcast. Goodbye.